Welcome back to Vegan Bible Essentials, and this will be Vegan Bible Essentials 8. And we would like to read from Hebrews chapter 9 and discuss that. I haven't read it yet, but I've kind of read over it a little bit, and there's a lot of good things in here about the animals and sacrificing and such things, about Christ, and to gain more insight, let's go ahead and read it and find out more about it. Okay, Hebrews chapter 9, starting in the first verse. Then verily the first covenant had also ordinance of divine service and a worldly sanctuary. For there was a tabernacle made, the first, wherein was the candlestick and the table and the shewbread, which is called the sanctuary. And after the second veil, the tabernacle which is called the holiest of all, which had the golden censer and the ark of the covenant overlaid round about with gold, wherein was the golden pot that had manna, and Aaron's rod that had budded, and the tables of the covenant, and over it the cherubims of glory shadowing the mercy seat, of which we cannot now speak particularly. Now when these things were thus ordained, the priest went always into the first tabernacle, accomplishing the service of God. But into the second went the high priest alone once every year, not without blood, which he offered for himself and for the errors of the people. The Holy Ghost, this signifying that the way into the holiest of all was not yet made manifest, while as the first tabernacle was yet standing, which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices, that could not make him that did the service perfect, as pertaining to the conscience, which stood only in meats and drinks and divers washings and carnal ordinances. Now let's take note of that word carnal in this instance. Imposed on them until the time of Reformation. But Christ being come and high priest of good things to come by greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building or creation, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and ashes of heifer, sprinkling the unclean, sanctifieth to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God? For this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which were called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator. For a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise it is no strength at all while the testator lives or liveth. Whereupon neither the first testament was dedicated without blood. For when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book and all the people, saying, This is the blood of the testaments which God hath enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry. And almost all things are by the law purged with blood, and without shedding of blood is no remission. or forgiveness. It was therefore necessary that the patterns of things in the heavens should be purified with these, but the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these. For Christ, the Messiah, is not entered into the holy places made with hands, which are the figures of the true, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of God for us. Nor yet that he should offer himself often, as the high priest entereth into the holy place every year with blood of others. For then must he often have suffered since the foundation of the world, but now once in the end of the world hath he appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment, so Christ was once offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation. Okay, that's the end of chapter 9. And it speaks thereof about the blood of calves and goats and such things used as sacrifices for that testament of things to come, of Christ to be offered for a sacrifice. Okay, let's think of it this way. These sacrifices was made with blood, with the shadow of things to come. That is, the Messiah being offered up for our sins. But before that came about, the blood of bulls and calves and goats and such things was offered up. Okay, this was supposed to be for a testament of things to come. But how about thereafter? Thereafter, Christ was offered up on the cross and died for us. Was this thing supposed to go on and on and on? I believe not. Because a more better sacrifice was given. Finally, the sacrifice of Christ was offered for the sins of many in this world. And we need to recognize that. Now, this was supposed to come to an end about that point in time. Because before that time, it was a testament, it was a shadow of things to come. Even as Abraham offered up Isaac, but the lamb was caught into the thicket or to the fence or whatever and offered up instead. So that was also a shadow of things to come as well. But now we went through the sacrificing with the priest and the Levites and such things. And in the final scenario, Christ, the Messiah, Yahshua, was actually offered up for us, for our sins. And this is saying that he was a better sacrifice. That those things that were sacrificed before wasn't really the type of sacrifice they should have been. That Christ was a much better sacrifice. And his wasn't that good a sacrifice at all. And with the better sacrifice, it's kind of telling me here in this pattern of things that is revolving, evolving, in the Bible in Hebrews that animal sacrifice should altogether be done away with. It shouldn't have been. So this is how I look at it. So in the beginning even of the next chapter, it says, for the law, number 10, in chapter 10, of Hebrews, for the law having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect. For then would they have not ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have had no more conscience of sins. So these sacrifices had to be done over and over. But in those sacrifices, there's a remembrance again made of sins every year. And here is the key verse that I think should be taken into account. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. It didn't say just sin, it said sins, plural. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he saith, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared for me. In burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin thou hast had no pleasure. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book, it is written of me, to do thy will, O God. Above, when he said, sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings and offering for sin thou wouldest not, neither hadst pleasure therein which are offered by the law, according to. Then said he, lo, I come to do thy will, O God. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second. By the which will we are sanctified to the offering of the body of Yahshua the Messiah, once for all. And every priest standing daily, ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of God. And it goes on to say in 14, by one offering he hath perfected forever them that are sanctified. So then, it says here that the blood of animals couldn't take away sins. But therefore the death and the blood of the Holy Messiah was the only remedy to take away sin. So was people falsely sacrificing animals and bulls and goats and animals as such? I believe in a way they were, because it could never take away sins. And there was only one person upon this earth that could take away the sins of the people. And that was the Holy Messiah, Yahshua the Christ. So we need to take into consideration these things. Were sacrifices offered up wrongly when they couldn't take away sins? And that might very well be. But they was doing it in a fashion, in a testament of things to come, the shadow of things to come. And it was a practice, a religious practice, yes it was, and offered up to God in such a way. And even then, even as the Bible expresses it, it just had no way of taking away sins of the people, and that only there was one that could take away the sins of the people. and he sat on the right-hand side of God in heaven. So this is something we should consider very carefully. Should animals have been sacrificed at all? Should they have been done in such a way as a shadow of things to come, when they couldn't take away sins, but only one could take away the sins of the world? Now, a lot of people might think differently, but why would a wonderful God that we serve want to take away the life of the animals he created upon this earth? He created them even before he created us, created Adam rather, upon this earth. And he sent each and every one. Every one of them came to Adam to be named by Adam. And then later, much later in life, on through the generations, here comes man to start sacrificing and killing and bloodletting and sacrificing and such things to take the life away from an animal, saying that it can take away the sins of the people, when there was only one that could actually take away the sins of the people, and that was the Holy Messiah. So think carefully, consider. This is something to consider very carefully when you think about it, that when sacrificing and such things and killing of animals should have stopped at the cross altogether. But did it? There's still death on the plate of a lot of human beings in this world. There's a lot of reasons we should stop eating flesh of animals in this world. We're not even designed, our teeth, our saliva is not designed to eat meat. Animals were, but not in the beginning. Animals were eating green grass and herbs and such things upon the earth. They weren't even created to eat meat in the beginning, and not even man. We weren't given, Adam wasn't given meat to eat in the Garden of Eden. He was given vegetables and herbs and fruits and stuff to eat. God gave him a vegan diet to begin with. Adam and Eve. So why did it change? Well, we could think of it this way. Sin entered into this world, and it entered into Adam and Eve's life. And it certainly changed the world in the way we perceive the world. Something very carefully to think about. I hope this has made a difference to some people, and that some people might consider changing their diet. And if not only for health reasons, because veganism is a very healthy diet, and people live longer on that diet. So, in consideration of that, we need to think about things. Okay, thank you, and thank you for listening to me in Vegan Bible Essentials, number 8, I believe it is, and see you next time. Bye-bye.